Hello, and welcome to today's School Finance Friday webinar series, Part 4, Introduction to Integrity Reports. Today we're going to talk about contact information and website information, as well as reviewing the AZEDS process. We'll define integrity for you, talk about the Intake 15, Intake 35, and review the top integrity errors for January 2020. I'll also give you a slide of additional assistance. If you need to reach out to the school finance team, you can reach us at any one of the numbers or emails listed here. If you wanted to reach out to the school finance team regarding an integrity error that you're receiving for student data, you'd want to reach out to the SF analyst team at az.gov. The AZEDS process. AZEDS is available for your student information system to communicate 24/7. Integrity runs every single night against the data that has landed in AZEDS. Shortly after integrity is complete, ACE, or the ADM calculation engine, runs. You can see that the status is complete by logging into the AZEDS portal under System Status, and you can see the different integrity types have completed for the night. What is integrity? Integrity is simply a set of business rules that are defined by AZEDS ADE Business and Arizona Revised Statute. ADE businesses include school finance, the ELL department, special ed department, Title I, and some of the program areas. Integrity is run on student data every single night, and you can see a report. The Intake 15 is run to show you the results of integrity that have passed or failed. Typically, the report that you'd be most interested is you want to see the result of data for students that have failed integrity. Integrity's rules are broken up into different subsections. The 10,000 rules are the membership rules defined by school finance. Those do have an impact on ADM eligibility, as well as the 20,000 rules for accountability also sometimes have an impact on ADM eligibility. You can see here the different departments or titles that impact integrity rules. The Intake 15 is located within the AZEDS portal. You log into the AZEDS portal via your ADE Connect login. The Intake 15 is listed under the Student Detail node. The Calendar report, or the Intake 35, is listed under the Calendar node. If you don't have access to the reports, you will need to contact your entity administrator to give you access to these different roles within ADE Connect. Let's look at the Intake 15. Here's an example of the Intake 15. It has the district student ID, the state student ID, the name of the student, the integrity category that we looked at before in the previous slides, an integrity type. This is a membership, attendance, accountability. Integrity status. When I pulled this report, I was looking for students that failed integrity, so that's why you see that F there. The severity of the error. Sometimes you'll see that the severity of the error will show error, warning, or simply informational. The error code, as it's assigned in the list of integrity errors, a brief description of that error for that individual student, and the date that this student received this integrity error. Here's a list of the top integrity warnings that we received for January 2020. The top warning, the 10115, is if an ancillary membership was submitted without a main membership. Ancillary memberships types are types that you would typically see for a student that has a C10 membership. If you are receiving these warnings, you can see the description and try to resolve through your student information system some of these integrity warnings. Warnings do not typically impact ADM in that the warning is not a failure, and the student you should expect the student to land on the ADM 15 report. Top integrity errors as of January 2020. This was the biggest offender, the 10008. Likely this had something to do with the recent issue that we had during data capture for the March payment in February. We had a little issue on the back end with a grade level code table not refreshing as we anticipated, so it caused a jump in integrity errors for this specific integrity report. But the one that we most likely see is the absence attendance date falls outside of the enrollment. So I'll go through in the slides to come tips on how to resolve these types of errors. So this one, as I was mentioning, the 10008 grade level code not offered at this school. If you are receiving this error and you know that in fact something did not happen at the state, you want to validate that the student's reported grade from within your SIS is the correct grade. You can do that by pulling up the STUD 72, and you can validate as well that the grade level is even offered at your school, or the ADE knows that this grade is being offered at your school. You can go to the ADE website under Find a School and search the district for which you are submitting this student. If it is a private day school that you are sending this student to, you'd want to look at the special education private day school spreadsheet. There's a list of the private day schools and the grades that they are approved to offer. So there's a couple areas that you can validate yourself to make sure that you're submitting the correct grade level. 10091. This one is a repeat offender. We do see this one often. The STUD 72 is a valuable tool that you'll want to use. Pull up the student's membership information and validate that the membership days for this student. You also want to validate that you are sending this student's information to the correct calendar code. If you do not see absences reported within this student membership, the report that you'd want to pull up is the ABSAT 10. That report, unlike the STUD 72, does show all of the absences that were submitted to AZEDS. The STUD 72 was designed to only show information, including attendance, within a student's membership. If the student came to you August 1, left August 30, the STUD 72 would only show attendance within that time period. The ABSAT 10 would show absences reported in all of the fiscal year. My recommendation when pulling the ABSAT 10 while setting the parameters on the AZEDS portal is to set the start date to the beginning of the fiscal year and set the number of days to 365 to make sure that we're capturing the entire fiscal year. The ABSAT 10, I should mention, is best looked at in CSV so that you can pull it or extract it into Excel. Should you need to delete an absence that is outside of a student's enrollment, this would be the place for you to identify the absence that is outside of the enrollment, as well as if this report is pulled in Excel version, the very last column within that report that doesn't show on a PDF version like we have here It also indicates the resource ID or tag for that individual date that your student information system or vendor would need in order to send a delete transaction for that date that is outside of that student's enrollment. 10096, attendance minutes are required when the field in attendance is reported. Attendance minutes cannot be null or zero. This is specific to students that are receiving minutes of attendance rather than being reported as excused or unexcused. The types of students that have minutes of attendance reported are typically a student that is enrolled in an Arizona Online Instruction or AOI, a student that is attending an alternative school, a preschool student, or a student that is listed as homebound. If you have any one of those students, you want to make sure that your student information system for the minutes that you are reporting is not reporting a value of 0 or null. If the student did not attend for the day and does not have minutes to report for the day, you simply do not need to report a value. You can validate the minutes that are being sent via the STUD72, the ABSAT 10, or by utilizing the student analysis tool within the AZEDS portal. Integrity error code 10200. This is an integrity error that we've seen in the most recent year. Students who've received a high school diploma may not enroll in a public school. If you are seeing this error, the first thing that you want to do is validate the student's membership days. You also want to pull the STUD72 so that you can see if a year-end status code has been pre-populated for this student that indicates that the student has graduated. You will see under year-end status a code value of G for graduated. If you don't see that a G value has been submitted in this current fiscal year, you may need to pull a STUD72 for last fiscal year if the student was within your school. If you are receiving this error and the student was not previously enrolled in your school for last fiscal year, unfortunately, it is possible that wherever that student came from prior to attending your school, that school submitted the student with the year-end status code of G for graduated when the student probably and likely should have been submitted as a year-end status code of P for promoted. We did unfortunately see this where 8th graders, instead of being reported as a P for promoted, were reported as a G. The G codes are only for seniors who have graduated at the end of the fiscal year for their senior year. If you do have this error, try to validate in-house that you or your student information system did not inaccurately submit a G code for these students. If you find that you have this and the student is new to you, you may need to reach out to the SF analyst team so that we can help you validate how to fix this. This integrity error 10124 is actually a calendar related error. Calendar track expected 1 is not expected 2. That is a dynamic message. In this integrity error, you would see the calendar code in those little brackets rather than expected 1 or expected 2. If you are receiving this message, you'll see a very detailed message to include the calendar code that you have submitted. The most common type of errors that we receive or types that we receive for this error is when you have a student that is attending a private school. In this example, the ACES. So let's say that you are sending a student to the ACES Peoria, and in the calendar code that you've set up within your student information system, the calendar code that you've submitted is for the administrative level rather than the site level. Districts and charter holders, as well as private day schools alike, have a parent entity ID or administrative level ID, as well as the child level ID or school of attendance ID. So make sure that you are sending or have set up the right entity ID listed when you are submitting this calendar code. You can validate that you have the right entity ID information specific to private day schools by looking at the ESS webpage. The Intake 35. Intake 35 is an integrity report that is specific to the school calendars that you are submitting via your SIS. This report looks very similar to the Intake 15, except that this is specific to the dates that you are submitting for your calendars. It includes the calendar code on the very left-hand side, the LEA ID for the district that you're submitting for, the severity similar to the Intake 15, the error code for the list of where those integrity codes are, and then a brief description. If you are receiving errors on this Intake 35 and you do not know how to resolve it, my recommendation is to navigate to the calendar reference guide that is currently listed and posted under our Knowledge Center in School Finance's homepage. The AZED's Calendar Integrity Reference Guide is a step-by-step guide on how to resolve every single integrity code listed. If you still require additional assistance on how to resolve an integrity error, whether it be calendar or student data related, you can always reach out to the SF Analyst team, but I also recommend visiting our Knowledge Center. Our Knowledge Center is listed on our website via az.gov/finance, going to the middle blue bar portion where it says Knowledge Center. We have training videos. Once a month, we have these targeted webinars. We also offer in-person trainings, which are our Workshop Wednesdays, and we have some instruction guides posted under the Knowledge Center. You can also find useful information on the monthly school finance memos, as well as staying up to date on hot topics that are posted on the School Finance webpage. Thank you so much for joining me for this 4th session of the School Finance Friday webinars. If you have any questions, please feel free to email the SF Analyst team.